The cat that had been missing for 3 months suddenly appeared in my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend's social media feed. The round and plump cat I had been raising was now skinny and looked like a monster. Her ex-boyfriend was taking selfies with the cat, which was barely breathing, of course, because it looked better when it was skinny. "The little cat looks more like its dad today," he said, looking at the familiar black heart-shaped pattern on the white cat's butt. I suppressed my anger and looked up at my girlfriend. "Emily, did my cat really run away on its own? Just like the past 2 hours?" Emily's eyes were glued to the computer screen, and the mechanical keyboard was clacking loudly under her fingers. "How many times do I have to answer this question?" She frowned impatiently. "For just a cat, Lucas, are you never going to stop? During the 3 months Cotton was missing, I searched every possible place. I posted missing cat notices in the neighborhood and the homeowners group, and tried every possible method to find any clues. I didn't blame Emily, who had lost Cotton, too much. As soon as I opened the door, it ran out. By the time I chased after it, it was already gone." I still remember the expression on Emily's face when she said that. At the time, her eyelids were lowered, and she was biting her lips tightly. Standing at the entrance of the neighborhood in her slippers, she looked as dejected as a child waiting to be scolded by their parents. At that moment, I thought she was blaming herself. Cotton had been with us for half a year and had already become part of our family. I didn't think Emily would intentionally lose it. But now looking back, she was biting her lips like that because she was afraid of laughing out loud. After all, what could be more ridiculous than giving your boyfriend's cat to your first love? "Emily, you're such a good actress. Why don't you become an actress?" I sent her a screenshot of Sophia's WeChat moments, grabbed the cat bag, and was about to leave. "Next time you do something so heartless, remember to practice your lines with your good brother first." My tone was full of sarcasm. The moment Emily saw the screen, the irritation on her face was replaced by guilt. "Lucas," she hurriedly stood up from the chair and walked over to me. "What are you doing? I already gave the cat to Oliver. If you go back now, aren't you just embarrassing me?" "I wouldn't just embarrass her. If anything happens to Cotton, I'd rather cut her into pieces." I didn't even bother to say a word. I rushed down the stairs and hailed a taxi to Oliver's apartment. Thanks to Oliver's habit of always including her location in her social media posts, I found her doorstep without any trouble. "Lucas." As soon as the door opened, Oliver, fully made up, raised an eyebrow and took a deep breath. "Why are you here?" I pressed the phone screen against his fake face and said expressionlessly, "Give me back Cotton." He knew it was my cat. He knew I'd been searching for it until I was nearly mad. Yet he'd kept it here all along, watching us suffer with a clear conscience. Closing my eyes, I forced myself to speak calmly. "Give it back to me now, and I'll pretend nothing happened." Oliver's expression changed several times. When he saw Emily running after me, he finally made up his mind. "Lucas, Cotton is a gift Emily gave me. It has food and shelter here, and every day is a good day. If you take it back, who knows if it will be happy? And you already have enough on your plate. Why bother?" Once, I couldn't understand why adults would go crazy at someone else's house, instead of reporting it to the police when their own child was wronged. But now, I get it. If anyone's beloved child was being abused, they wouldn't be able to stand it either. I pushed Oliver aside and walked into his house. In the corner of the open-air balcony, I saw Cotton's figure in a square cage less than 40 centimeters wide. Oliver had groomed himself meticulously, from the tips of his hair to the tips of his toes. But Cotton, who supposedly had everything he needed, was forced to sleep in a litter box filled with clumps of cat litter. His food bowl was empty. Not a single grain of food remained. The transparent water bowl was covered in a layer of dust. Cotton's nose, which was usually moist, was now dry and cracked, sending a chill down my spine. The moment I saw him, tears welled up in my eyes. I felt so guilty toward him. I opened the cage and, under Cotton's wary gaze, reached my hand inside to pick him up. but after enduring who knows what abuse here, Cotton, who had always been so affectionate and whom I had raised since he was a kitten, actually swiped at me with his paw. Ouch! I pulled my hand back in pain, but blood seeped from the wound, trickling down my skin and into my sleeve. Lucas. That's enough, Emily spoke coldly from behind me. Is this worth it for a cat? Can't you see it doesn't want to go with you? This cat will only suffer with you. Oliver's monthly allowance could feed you for a lifetime. This cat is 100 times better off here than with you. Don't be so stubborn. For a moment, I wondered if Emily was blind. She couldn't see Cotton's emaciated body, its weakness and helplessness. She stood there looking down on me, spouting nonsense. Closing my eyes, I endured the pain and reached into the cage again, pulling Cotton out and placing it in the cat carrier. Oliver was rich. That was an undeniable fact. But is having money enough to take care of a living creature? Seeing my silence, Oliver walked over from the side. Lucas, look. I bought this cat food for it. It's $500 per pound. You can't afford this kind of cat food, so just leave it here, and then wait for you to post its taxidermy in your social media. With a cold snort, I picked up the cat carrier and stood up, neither humble nor arrogant. Oliver, you better pray that Cotton is okay, or I'll make you pay for this. Oliver heard this, blinked his eyes, and clung to Emily's hand. Emily, did I do something wrong? I didn't bother watching their act and walked out with the cat carrier. As we passed each other, Emily grabbed my hand. Lucas, I repeated myself. Leave the cat. Why? I steadied myself and looked up at Emily's stunned expression. Just because he's rich. Before Emily could answer, I smiled, feeling a pang of sadness. You like money so much. Why don't you stay here? A gold digger like you is more suited to this place than Cotton. I shook off both of them. I hailed a taxi and rushed to the best pet hospital in the city. While the vet was examining Cotton, I received several text messages from Oliver. The smugness in his words was almost impossible to hide. Lucas, how could you think Emily is a gold digger? Didn't she tell you about that incident? I'm surprised you've been together for 3 years, and you've been the one paying all along. Right, she's really angry with you now and probably won't come home tonight. Closing my eyes, I blocked Oliver completely. I then opened Emily's chat window, wanting to say something to her. But I was surprised to find that, when faced with Emily, all I felt was disappointment, nothing but disappointment. The first time I met Emily, I was 18. As the only college student in the village, I set off alone with the snakeskin bag my parents had packed for me. I took a bus, a green-painted train, a public bus, and a motorcycle taxi, heading north all the way. After nearly 30 hours of uncertainty and excitement, I arrived at the gates of the University of Chicago. At that moment, all the problems I had solved and the nights I had stayed up studying turned into tangible reality, rushing toward me. I had never been so happy, until people passing by gave me strange looks. Holy crap, hasn't this guy washed his hair in days? Look at his clothes. Even my grandfather doesn't wear clothes like that. So tacky, he must be from the mountains. You think he smells like sheep dung? Even the security guard stared at me for a moment before approaching to escort me away. Where am I supposed to go? We're starting school today. You should go beg somewhere else. The admission letter my mother had sewn into my clothes felt scorching hot. I stood there, feeling completely out of place, so embarrassed I wanted to dig a hole and crawl inside. Just then, Emily appeared. She walked toward me with long strides. Tall and slender, her silver hair shining in the sunlight, almost like a goddess descending from heaven. Are you a freshman this year? Which department? Those few words effortlessly drowned out all the harsh sounds around me. My throat was dry and hoarse. I swallowed twice before managing a raspy reply. Media-o. Emily pointed to a group of boys a few meters away, one of whom was laughing and joking with the others. He's in the same college as you. Liam. Come give her a hand, Emily called out. The 2 snakeskin bags in my hands were quickly snatched away by Liam, who stuck out his tongue. A young animal facing its first setback in a bustling city couldn't refuse even a little kindness. After that day, I found myself unintentionally watching Emily, wanting to thank her from the bottom of my heart. Destiny smiled on me for the first time, not making me wait too long. Soon, the highly anticipated women's basketball showdown between the University of Chicago and Harvard University began. As the star player of the University of Chicago's renowned women's basketball team, Emily had fans filling half the basketball court. Every time she ran or jumped, people cheered for her. Perhaps it was because she was too much of a star. In the second half, 3 players from Harvard University formed a semicircle around her, guarding her tightly. Emily refused to believe in bad luck. Despite being surrounded, she jumped up and attempted a three-pointer. The ball swished through the net. However, as she landed, a Harvard University player extended her foot under Emily's feet. Emily was tripped and fell to the ground, her face pale with pain, forcing her to leave the court first. Players and fans from both sides erupted into heated arguments over the incident. Various stuffed animals and small flags flew through the air, seemingly aiming to hit the opposing team's heads. In the chaos, I chased after Emily out of the basketball court. At that time, I didn't know much about her. After catching up, I mustered the courage to offer to take her to the infirmary. But when I looked up, I met Emily's clear and puzzled gaze. "Classmate, do we know each other?" What was an incredibly precious memory for me was nothing more than a minor incident for Emily. Just as I was stammering, not knowing how to introduce myself, Liam, who was holding Emily, glanced at me up and down, then suddenly slapped his forehead. "Snake brother, it's you, right? What's up? You've fallen for our Emily, haven't you? You came all the way out here to confess your feelings." It was the hottest summer in Chicago. Even the cicadas in the trees were singing weakly. Only I, the country bumpkin, was full of passion, wearing the cheapest long-sleeved checkered shirt. I boldly revealed my feelings to Emily, who could feed her entire family for 3 years with just one pair of socks. Yes, I did like her a little. Emily was my first love. She was the brightest light in my otherwise barren life, but my honesty didn't earn me a response from her. Instead, Liam laughed until his sides ached, tears in the corners of his eyes. "Snake skin, brother, do you even look in the mirror? With your looks, you think you can get a swan. Ha 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 ha." "Liam!" Emily snorted and limped toward the infirmary. After that, for a long time, every time Emily happened to see me, she would turn her head away. She avoided me. But her friends would laugh when they saw me, calling me snake brother and ordering me to buy them water or bring them food. "I'm busy. I'm here to study. My parents are waiting to be proud of me." After I refused her friends for the 100th time, Liam rubbed his chin, narrowed his eyes at me, and said, "Snake skin, kid, you're making me think that day was a hallucination. You really like Emily. What do you think?" During my 3 months at the University of Chicago, I grew out my hair and learned how to dress. I used all my free time to work part-time and saved up a decent amount of money. That year, at the end of the semester, when I walked onto the stage in a white hoodie and gray sweatpants and effortlessly swept up 4 or 5 awards, the middle row of the auditorium erupted into enthusiastic applause. I looked up and saw Emily sitting in the middle, her ears red as she stared at me. It seemed like a casual glance, but it also felt like a girl's heart fluttering. Under the stage lights, I smiled, thinking that whether I succeeded or not, this experience was already beautiful enough. But what I didn't expect was that after that, Emily began to appear frequently in my life. I was working as a tutor, and she would drive up in her luxury car to wait outside my client's door. I was volunteering at a music store. Every time I finished cleaning, she would suddenly appear, take over the teacher's lesson, and sit next to me on the piano bench, teaching me how to read sheet music. I was studying and memorizing in the library. She called, her voice full of youthful energy yet tinged with a hint of maturity. "Lucas, want to sing?" The library was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Emily's background noise seemed even louder. Exams were just around the corner. Clearing my throat, I said, "No, I need to study." On the other end, Liam quickly imitated me. "No, study." A group of people laughed on the other end of the phone. Liam's voice was especially loud. "Emily, where's your charm? Tree Branch, you're not the only one." Tree Branch was the new nickname they had given me. I had always thought it symbolized vibrant vitality and never corrected them. But at that moment, it sounded a bit harsh. Emily must have walked to a place where no one was around. The chaotic background noise quickly faded from the receiver. Only her voice was pleasant, seeming to strike my eardrum. "Mtkes Lucas. Come here. I miss you." Just one sentence and I was defeated. I hurriedly left the library, rode my bike through the University of Chicago campus in the night, and rode for nearly 20 minutes. I stood in front of Emily, unable to say a word. Liam, with a smirk, opened a bottle of black beer and handed it to Emily. "Emily, drink up." I didn't understand what he meant. Looking around, I realized I wasn't the only guy in the private room. These rich kids were betting on us. Betting on whether we were obedient, whether we would come when called and leave when told. Emily lost because I was a student. I didn't expect her to make money or constantly flatter her. But those who had also received calls and rushed over here didn't get angry or upset. They called Emily Oliver and gathered around her, drinking the strong liquor with $10,000 bills on the cups. Their eyes were glassy, and their legs were long and slender. As I watched, I suddenly felt a pair of hands grip my throat. That was the first time I realized the gap between Emily and me. Emily saw my feelings this way, and I mockingly tugged at the corner of my mouth, turned around and left. But Emily chased after me. "Lucas, where are you going?" she asked, as if she didn't understand what had happened. She grabbed my hand and pressed it against her flushed cheek, then smiled at me. "Thank you for coming. I think I like you. Should we try?" 18-year-old Lucas was too naive. He just looked at Emily's smile and his heart melted. "We can try." My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. I forced myself to stay calm, but I told them not to bet on me anymore. It was stupid. I said I was stupid for letting them treat me like that. But Emily seemed lost in her own thoughts. Her expression froze for a moment before she nodded obediently. "Okay, I won't." That day, we held hands and escaped from the smoky karaoke bar. Emily, the spoiled princess, volunteered to ride the bicycle. I sat on the back seat holding my backpack. At 8 o'clock in the evening, the University of Chicago's evening radio program began on time, and the gentle, soothing recitation of English poetry flowed into the summer night. The corners of my lips curled upward, and I believed that this moment would appear in the slideshow of my life before I died, because it was simply too happy. I was so happy that I even forgot where I came from. When I was with Emily, I occasionally had nightmares. In the dreams, Liam laughed and called me snake skin brother, mocking me with sharp words. "You don't really think you can keep the swan all to yourself forever, do you?" I never told Emily about these dreams, but every time I had one, I would cling to every opportunity I could find. Through my relentless efforts, I gradually transformed from the snake-skinned Breton tree branch thief mocked into Emily's boyfriend, the top student at university. Just as I was rejoicing over their genuine recognition, a bolt from the blue struck. The Williams family went bankrupt. Emily, who had been the daughter of Chicago's wealthiest family, fell from grace overnight, becoming a homeless outcast. In just a few months, those who had once been her closest friends, who had been so close they would have shared a pair of pants, all abandoned her. They avoided her like the plague. Emily has been in a downward spiral ever since. As her boyfriend, I couldn't bear to see her suffer, so I worked tirelessly to earn money, hoping she could live a better life. So, when I called her a gold digger today, I wasn't wrong. Emily is indeed relying on me to support her now. "Who is Cotton's parent?" The operating room door finally opened. The doctor held a stack of test results, furrowed his brow, and said to me, "Its condition is very poor. It needs to stay in the hospital for intravenous fluids. We'll monitor it for 48 hours. If its condition improves during that time, it should be fine. If it worsens—" The doctor didn't finish his sentence. It was too cruel. I stared at her stiffly for a few seconds before blurting out, "Please do your best to save it. It underwent sterilization surgery during its heat cycle and didn't receive proper nutrition afterward, so its condition is now very poor." The doctor's gaze toward me was a mix of blame and confusion. "You're so worried about it. Why didn't you ask more questions before the surgery?" The doctor's words pulled me back to 3 months ago. Before Cotton went missing, she was in heat. At the time, she cried day and night, unable to walk more than a few steps before collapsing at someone's feet, begging to be petted. She was in pain, and it broke my heart to watch her suffer. So I consulted many veterinary clinics, after being told that during a cat's heat cycle, blood vessels are dilated, and performing sterilization surgery at this time can increase bleeding. It's not recommended to do it now. We should wait until the heat cycle ends. I gave up on the idea. I planned to wait until Cotton recovered and then schedule the surgery. But what I never expected was, Emily actually lied to me during this time, saying the cat was lost, but in reality she had given the cat to Oliver, and Oliver had the surgery done during this time. Closing my eyes, I didn't explain to the doctor. I just clasped my hands together and asked, "How much did those tests cost? I'll go pay right now. Please take good care of her. All patients brought here are treated equally." The doctor glanced at my hand. "Are you injured?" I followed her gaze and looked down. The wound on the back of my hand had stopped bleeding, but the earlier winding bloodstains, now dried, looked even more terrifying. "I'm fine." I murmured a response, but before I could ask more about Cotton, the doctor had already left, after swiping my card and paying at the front desk. I stood outside the sterile ward, looking through the large glass window at Cotton, who was barely clinging to life. My heart ached unbearably. Such a small creature who takes up so little space. How could she have gotten in Emily's way? They had spent half a year together. Didn't she have any feelings for him at all? As I was lost in thought, a soft cough sounded behind me. The doctor who had left returned, holding a bottle of iodine and some cotton swabs. "Sit down, I'll take care of it." "No, it's okay." I waved my hand, refusing. But the doctor had already unscrewed the cap of the iodine bottle and looked at me. "Sit down. I'll add the medical expenses to its bill, thank you." After removing his surgical gown, sterile cap, mask, and gloves, the doctor who had just operated on Cotton was surprisingly young. "How old are you?" Although I knew this was the best pet hospital in the city, I shouldn't have doubted the doctor's qualifications. But this doctor, who looked like he could be a model, lost my trust because he was too handsome. "How old?" After disinfecting the wound, she wiped away the blood on my wrist with a disinfectant wipe. The doctor stared at me without any emotion for a moment, her thin lips parting slightly. "I am already the mother of 2 children. Finally leaving the hospital, I returned home exhausted. As Oliver had said, Emily didn't come back today. The small rental house was pitch black as far as the eye could see. I had no appetite, so I simply washed up and went to bed. A corporate drone doesn't have the luxury of drowning sorrows in alcohol on a Sunday. I have to go to work tomorrow. Maybe it was because today was so exhausting. I rarely dream, but I found myself dreaming. In the dream, it was Oliver's text messages one moment, and Cotton's tragic state the next. Suddenly, I jolted awake as if I had stepped into thin air, drowning in the dream. The spot beside me was still empty. It was 2 a.m. and Emily still hadn't come back. I rubbed my heart, which was still racing from the shock, and got out of bed to get some water. As I mindlessly scrolled through my phone, I suddenly saw a post Emily had made an hour ago. It was a video. In the video, Liam, who had disappeared from our lives for a long time, was sitting to her left. Oliver, with his eyes crinkled in a smile, was sitting to her right, leaning against her arm. In a large private room, it was packed with people. They were all Emily's former sisters and brothers. They had opened many bottles of wine. Besides the 3 most eye-catching bottles of Black Ace, there were also many cocktails and beers. I glanced at them roughly, and the total cost of these drinks must have been at least 100,000. 100,000. When this number appeared, a thick sense of unease washed over me. But before I could think further, Emily's call appeared on the screen. Tree Branch. As soon as I answered, Liam's voice shattered the night's tranquility, causing me to furrow my brows. Emily's drunk. Come quickly to pick her up. He demanded it as if it were his right, then laughed in a strange voice. Oh, and Emily said she's treating today. Now that she's drunk, don't forget to bring the money. The call ended. I stiffly walked to the bedside table in the bedroom and opened the drawer. There was nothing inside except a card. And the amount on the card was exactly 100,000. Luxury was indeed the best entertainment venue in Chicago. Looking around, there were young, hot bodies everywhere. I fixed my gaze on one face and found Emily's private room. I pushed the door open and walked in. If it weren't for the loud dance music and the flashing lights, the people sitting there would probably have noticed my unusual behavior. But the stack of cash in my right hand was too conspicuous, so they didn't bother to notice my disheveled appearance, which was the result of working so hard to support Emily. They were all fixated on the stack of red bills. You're something else. Tree Branch, you actually brought the money. Liam was both surprised and delighted. Oliver raised an eyebrow. Lucas, that's so tacky. Everyone here has at least 100,000 yuan. You brought it like this. Afraid that others wouldn't know that Emily is broke now and needs your help, Liam paused, then forced a smile and agreed, yeah, I was just joking. We all know Emily's situation. How could we really take your money? With a mocking smile, I stared at Emily across the coffee table. She wasn't drunk, but she tolerated Oliver's provocation toward me and even allowed Liam to tease me. I called over the bar staff, remained expressionless, and placed the money in stacks on their tray to settle the bill. Sir, the amount is too large. We need to use a currency counter. In less than half a minute, the currency counter was brought over. The brand new coins made a pleasant sound as they went through the machine. The other people in the bar started cheering. But Emily, sandwiched between Oliver and Liam, looked increasingly uncomfortable. Lucas. She clenched her teeth, stood up, and walked over to me. You don't have to pay for this. The Williams family fell apart when the tree fell. Only I, the fool, would starve myself to give her money so she could eat at a Michelin-starred restaurant and enjoy what she loves. I feared she'd feel humiliated if she couldn't afford a gift. I even suggested we skip the anniversary. I don't want her gifts, nor do I expect her to do housework. I endure all her temper tantrums and lack of ambition. I worked myself to the bone, losing clumps of hair, just to save this 10,000. I told Emily, 10,000 yuan is a huge sum of money in my hometown. It could build a 2-bedroom, 1-living-room house. Once I save another 10,000 for renovations, I'll take you home. Emily, my family has 2 mountains. If you follow me, you'll never go hungry. Remember, when I finished speaking, Emily threw herself into my arms. She was like a dog that had been spoiled by its owner, licking and biting my neck. Finally, we both collapsed onto the bed, exhausted. Emily's eyes were still shining like stars. Her voice was hoarse but filled with satisfaction. Lucas, don't forget what you promised. I didn't forget, and I believed she didn't either. So I looked at Emily, who seemed betrayed, and said softly, you don't need to pay. Why did you call me here? I smiled and spoke clearly. Are you using me as a bet again? In an instant, Emily's face paled. Behind her, Oliver crossed his arms and smirked. Time rewound half an hour. After hanging up Liam's call, my email showed a new video. The background of the video was the same private room we were in now. In the video, Oliver looked genuinely concerned. Emily, I don't understand. Why did Uncle not go bankrupt? Yet you lied to Lucas and said your family was broke. Because it was a secret recording, Emily's expression wasn't very clear. However, Liam's loud voice was captured clearly, saying, "You're so naive. The Williams family has billions. What does Lucas have? He's just a country bumpkin who wants to marry into the Williams family. Of course, he has to go through some tests. Just letting him take care of Emily for a year is already a bargain." Oliver tilted his head, but it seemed like he wasn't very happy about it. Today, just for a cat, his expression was terrifying. He even called Emily a gold digger. It felt like in his heart, Emily wasn't as important as that animal. "Oliver." Emily finally spoke, but not harshly. After a brief silence, Liam awkwardly laughed and said, "Oliver, you must have misunderstood. You were abroad back then. You didn't know. Lucas was always there for Emily, coming whenever she called. None of us could get him to do anything, but Emily just had to make a phone call. And he'd come running. Even when they were together, it was all because of Emily's word. He didn't even bother to buy her a flower." In the final scene, Oliver stared straight into the camera, his gaze brimming with defiance. Throughout the entire exchange, Emily didn't deny a single word. She knew exactly what I had done for her. Yet over the past year, she had often tormented me with excuses like the family is bankrupt or I'm in a bad mood. Closing my eyes, I looked at Emily's face, once the perfect artwork I had admired, and spoke in a cold tone. "Emily, I told you, don't bet on me. It's stupid." A year of lies exposed, the thin layer of irritability on Emily's skin seemed to peel away. "Lucas." Her Adam's apple bobbed and she reached out to pull me. "Let's not argue here. Let's go home first." I dodged her touch lightly. I gestured with my chin toward the bills still whirring in the counterfeit detector. Standing beside her, speaking clearly, "Emily, we won't have a home. I came here today to break up with you. Being a wealthy family's son-in-law is too much trouble. Leave your tests for someone else." As the words fell, I didn't care about the shocked stares around us. I stood up and left. It was hard to hail a taxi on the early morning street. When Emily ran out after me, I was scanning for a shared electric scooter. It wasn't cool, I knew, but there was nothing I could do. All the money was spent on men. I couldn't afford to be cool, Lucas. Emily almost ran toward me. She grabbed the front of my scooter and stared at me. "How did you know about the test? Who told you?" I glanced at Oliver, who was chasing after her. I gave her a dazzling smile, but my eyes were fixed on him. "You're Oliver, huh? He's got plenty of tricks up his sleeve." "Emily, you didn't know that, did you?" After delivering that sharp retort, I hopped on the electric scooter and sped away from the street as if a dog were chasing me. Oliver had returned to the country 6 months ago. That day, Emily, who had been immersed in the despair of bankruptcy, unexpectedly tidied herself up and stepped out of the house. I didn't know what she was doing, and I was afraid she might do something reckless. I paced back and forth in our small living room with Cotton, trying to suppress my guilt. Before pretending to follow her, Emily, at the airport, Oliver rushed over and embraced her the moment he saw her. My heart sank deeply with his movement. He was too natural and too intimate, but Emily seemed unaware of it, smiling as she ruffled his hair and handed him a drink. It was just a drink. I didn't want to care. But I had to work for an hour at a fast food restaurant just to earn $8. A $40 drink would take me 5 hours of my break time to earn. I was clearly in pain, but for Emily's progress in stepping out of the house, I even convinced myself not to care. How stupid of me, Lucas. It was 9 o'clock. Time to go to work. Despite having just broken up, I didn't feel tired or sad at all. I rode my electric scooter aimlessly through the streets. I finally stopped at a breakfast shop, ordered a steamer of dumplings and a cup of soy milk, and thanked the owner. Next to the breakfast shop was a lottery ticket shop, with the 2 coins the owner gave me as change. I bought a lottery ticket and clasped my hands together, praying to the sky. "Heaven above, I'm willing to trade 10 years of my life for this lottery ticket to win." Whether it's $5 or $10, it doesn't matter. The young doctor responsible for caring for Cotton, who had 2 children, was very diligent in his work. Every day, he would bring some data and analyze Cotton's condition with me. Before I knew it, 7 or 8 days had passed, when Cotton was notified that he could be discharged from the hospital. Chicago's first autumn rain also fell from the sky. Get in the car. While I waited anxiously with the cat carrier for a ride-hailing driver to accept the order, the doctor's face unfolded like a scroll before me as the car window lowered. I'm taking Cotton and you. Because of the rain, Chicago suddenly felt like autumn. The air was cool and crisp, almost unbearable. Worried that Cotton might catch a cold, I climbed into the car and thanked the doctor. It's been discharged. My name is Olivia. Thank you, Dr. Olivia, I said. Olivia's driving skills were as steady and reliable as she was. On the way back, I couldn't help but feel sleepy. When I finally woke up, it was already dark outside the car window. I felt guilty and embarrassed for causing so much trouble. I'm so sorry, Dr. Olivia, for wasting so much of your time. It's okay. Olivia looked at Cotton with genuine affection. Go on. Remember to bring it back for a follow-up checkup when you have time. Okay. Seeing that she had nothing else to say, I got out of the car with the cat carrier. To my surprise, less than 2 seconds later, Olivia also came running down. Lucas, Lucas, 2 women's voices mixed together, the shrillness making me frown. I looked in the direction of the sound. There stood Emily, soaked to the bone by the rain, glaring at me with a dark expression. Lucas, you dare to come right after her. What are you doing here? I asked back, frowning. Miss Emily doesn't need to pretend to be poor anymore. Her shirt, pants, and bracelet are all expensive. She's just so pitiful. She didn't bring an umbrella when she came, and the rain soaked her like a frog sprayed with hairspray. All that's left is a refined kind of ugliness. Did you change the locks at home? Emily's face turned pale, but there was an unnatural red in her eyes. Lucas, I haven't agreed to break up yet. Emily has a stubbornness that ordinary people can't understand. Back when we were together, she could call me nonstop for hours just because I refused to go on a date, and she's still doing it now. Sorry, I glanced at Olivia and told her to leave, but this scene looked different to Emily. She stood in front of Olivia, glaring at her with a disdainful look that could only be cultivated through years of material wealth, and said, "No matter who you are, stay away from my boyfriend." Olivia, the atmosphere was tense, laced with a hint of hostility. After a moment, Olivia smiled softly. Sir, our institution has successfully treated cases like yours. If you're interested, feel free to come by any time. Without waiting for Emily's reaction, Olivia slipped her business card into Emily's pocket. This was so embarrassing. I didn't bother to look at her anymore, hugged the cat bag to my chest, and headed upstairs. Emily chased after me, her furious voice making Cotton in my arms tremble. Lucas, what are you doing? It's just a cat. She forced open the door, which was almost closed. She grabbed my arm and said, "Come with me. I'll give you a car for the cat, no matter what it is." Emily, I lost all patience and stuffed all the things Emily had used in the corner into her RMTKS. I said I want to break up, and I mean it. Your feelings and these things are just as cheap. I don't want them anymore. Please leave. Don't ever let me see you again. The damp rental apartment couldn't even hold a cardboard box. And the bottom, which had absorbed moisture, couldn't bear much weight. A toothbrush, skincare products, and 4 pieces of underwear for $100. As the cardboard box slipped, it hit Emily's foot. As if sensing our discomfort, Cotton let out a soft meow. Lucas, he must have been hurt by my get-out words. After a few seconds of silence, Emily kicked the pile of junk aside and left with a dark, "Don't regret this." Then she walked out without looking back. Emily's revenge came quickly, though I didn't know what she had to gain. But the next day, I did receive a termination notice from headquarters. After working nonstop for so long, I could finally rest. I wasn't really sad. Moreover, on the way home from the company, I was thrilled to discover that the lottery ticket I had bought had won. The prize was a whopping 10 million. After checking the numbers 3 times, I started searching online for tips on how to claim the prize. But before I could figure it out, an unfamiliar number suddenly called. "Hello," I answered with a cheerful tone. On the other end, Oliver paused for a moment and asked, "Lucas, you sound happy." If it were any other time, I would have hung up immediately. But unfortunately, I'm now a millionaire. Crossing my legs elegantly, I replied him. After a moment of silence, Oliver mocked me while inviting me to meet at a high-end coffee shop. Unfortunately, I had a bonus to collect that day. Emily wasn't worth my time anymore. I blocked her number as well. I followed the guide to the lottery office and collected my prize. The next day, I took Cotton to the hospital for a follow-up appointment. Cotton's weight had been stable recently, but I still needed to make sure she stayed hydrated. Olivia's pleasant voice was suddenly interrupted by a gasp. "My goodness, this is so romantic, a public proposal." I followed the sound and saw several nurses standing at the entrance of the pet store, looking up. On the LED screen across the street, Oliver's various retouched photos flashed one after another. At the end of the video, against a beige background, a line of text slowly appeared. "Oliver, will you marry me?" The signature was T. "So this is Emily's second move. Why did Oliver call me over to not flirt with his fiancée?" I heard someone say that videos like this are charged by the second. This woman is really thoughtful. The nurses, unaware of the situation, gathered around and chattered excitedly. A video this long must have cost millions to play, of course. This is the city center after all. Sigh, when will I ever meet such a wonderful woman? Don't envy her. A surge of anger welled up in my chest, but I forced a smile and joined them. I went to the same university as that woman, her boyfriend told me. I dragged out my words, seeming a bit embarrassed, but the nurse's eyes sparkled with curiosity, urging, "What did he say? What did he say?" "She's a real piece of work." I delivered the final blow. The nurses all gasped in unison, letting out a surprised "ah." The little pang in my heart was quickly soothed. I smiled sincerely. I heard the nurses continue. "It seems her fiancé isn't very happy either. Yeah, she's so young. What will happen when she gets married?" They sighed and walked away. Only I stood there, glancing at the screen again. I was too conservative when I made my wish. 10 years of life isn't enough for such scum. Lost in thought, I didn't notice when Olivia had come over. "Was that your ex-girlfriend downstairs today?" "Yeah, I made you laugh. I'm the one who should apologize," Olivia said, her ears turning slightly red. "Before, I misunderstood that you didn't care about Cotton, but that day I heard you arguing. Was it because she was sick?" "Yeah." The second autumn rain came just as suddenly as the first. After a moment of silence, Olivia went inside to get the car keys. As compensation for the apology, she offered to drive us home today, thanks to Olivia's exceptional medical skills. Cotton's condition improved day by day. After confirming with her that it was okay to come back for a follow-up next month, I found the landlord of the rental house and told her I wouldn't be renewing the lease. I bought a plane ticket home and prepared to build a big house for my parents. Everything was going smoothly, but Emily somehow found out I was leaving and went crazy at the airport. She hadn't seen me in over half a month and had clearly lost a lot of weight. "Lucas." As she walked toward me, her expression was complicated. She looked at the cat carrier in my arms and asked in a hoarse voice, "Is it that important? Important enough that you're willing to give up me and everything the Williams family has? What does this have to do with a cat? I clearly told you last time that it's you who disgusts me." Pointing to the beverage shop behind her, I spoke slowly. "Emily, did you come here to beg me to change my mind? Then, why didn't you even buy me a drink? You were so eager to pick up Oliver at the airport, weren't you?" Emily froze for a moment, as if recalling something. But soon, a glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes. "Are you jealous? What about Lucas? What do you want to drink? I'll go buy it now." perhaps in the eyes of these wealthy young men. My disappointment, collapse, and departure are all just tricks. Now, my goal has been achieved. Of course, I had to give her a way out so that the high and mighty Emily could save face. Whatever, I replied casually. But 10 minutes later, Emily returned with 7 or 8 drinks, handing them to me carefully with a hint of flattery. Lucas, try this. I didn't respond. She continued, actually, I came here today to apologize to you. I shouldn't have treated Cotton like that, and I shouldn't have lied to you. But you're too good to that cat. So good that I'm jealous, that's why Lucas. Emily swallowed hard, pulled out a card from her pocket and handed it to me. Come back. You don't have to work anymore. I'll transfer 50 million yuan into this card every month. You were good to me before, so let me be good to you now. Is that okay? Taking the card, I looked at it in my hand and suddenly smiled. 50,000 is this Emily's allowance as the Williams family's son-in-law, or the mistress's allowance? Before Emily could answer, I swiped the card to buy a drink and poured it all over her head without hesitation. Emily, do you think you can buy my affection with money? Can you be any more disgusting? Lucas. Emily had never been treated this way before. A cup of milk tea with pearls, coconut, and red bean pudding made a trace of humiliation flicker across her face. But she quickly wiped her face clean and smiled at me, just like when we first met. Are you satisfied now? No, I'm not satisfied. There's more. She handed me another cup of milk tea, knelt down in front of me and spoke softly. Lucas, I admit it. It was my fault. I let you down. She pulled my hand, urging me to pour the milk tea on her. But instead of feeling moved, I felt even more disgusted. I broke free from her grasp, looked around, and thought, this is murder, Emily. What kind of bet did you make? Where's the camera? If you want to win so badly for the sake of our past, I don't mind playing along once. In an instant, Emily's face turned ashen. Whispers filled the air around us. I grabbed my luggage and rushed to catch my flight. On the 7th day back in the village, Olivia called via video to ask about Cotton's condition. After reporting everything, I didn't forget to be polite, thanking Dr. Olivia for her trouble and promising to bring her some local specialties when I returned. Olivia pushed her silver-rimmed glasses up her nose. What does local specialties include? She asked. I counted them off on my fingers. Sweet potato chips, radish chips, hazelnuts, pine nuts, and pistachios. I like pistachios, Olivia said in a low voice. I nodded and asked, should I bring more? I said, oh, and asked, should I bring more back? Olivia just shook her head and told me to rest well. I thought she had refused the pistachios. Who would have thought that the next day, Olivia, dressed in white, appeared at the village entrance. Dr. Olivia. I rushed forward in confusion. Why are you in such a hurry? She actually came all the way here. The beautiful girl descended from the sky, and matchmakers from all the villages came running, each one enthusiastic and joyful. Olivia gave Cotton a physical exam. Matchmaker, isn't that a coincidence? The young man from the Wang family also likes animals. Should I introduce you to? Olivia went to the fields to help my mother weed. Matchmaker, oh, the young man from the Lai family works so efficiently. Why don't I organize a competition between the two of you? Olivia carried me, half asleep, to the market. Matchmaker, the young man from the Shen family. You don't have a girlfriend either, do you? I can introduce you to someone. At 6:30 in the morning, I was dizzy, cold, and hungry. I blurted out, Auntie, I don't want to. I've made a fortune working outside. From now on, I'll pay monthly for young girls. As soon as the words left my mouth, the air seemed to freeze. The matchmaker looked at me, then at the young, tall, and beautiful Olivia, her gaze darting back and forth several times before she suddenly understood. That's why they say education is important, Shen. Your thinking is spot on. Auntie saw through you from the start. She gave me a thumbs up, but I just wanted to bury my face in the ground. However, although I ruined Olivia's reputation, my family's reputation was preserved. That night, Olivia and I sat by the campfire, roasting fish and corn. The food was so fresh that it didn't need much seasoning. I ate until I was satisfied, leaned back in the chair, and felt sleepy. "Dr. Olivia, why didn't you tell them clearly that you're married?" Hearing this, Olivia's face showed a clear look of shock for the first time. "Me, married? Yes, you already have children, don't you?" The second hand ticked a few times. On Olivia's face, which had always been expressionless except for politeness, a smile like melting snow appeared. "Mr. Shen, would you like to see a photo of my children?" "Sure." I rubbed my hands and followed her gaze down. Then, on Olivia's phone screen, I saw a photo of a golden retriever and a husky. "Is that it?" My eyes widened in disbelief. Olivia nodded calmly. "My child." Olivia stayed in the village where I grew up for 7 days. When it was time for her to leave, she looked at me with clear, harmless eyes and asked, "When you come back, will you bring me some pistachios?" I didn't know how to respond, so I just waved goodbye and told her to be careful on her way. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. After spending a lot of money online, I opened the bedroom window and looked out into the distance. It was the middle of the night, but a familiar figure was walking toward me on the village road. "Olivia." I felt an inexplicable surge of excitement and shouted, waving my hands as I ran toward her. But as she got closer, my steps slowed. "Emily." The streetlight cast a dim, yellow glow, illuminating Emily's sullen face, which looked as if it could cry at any moment. "Olivia." Her jaw was clenched tightly, staring at me intently. Her eyes filled with hatred as if she wanted to tear me apart. "That pet doctor. Lucas, you changed your mind so quickly." It was 1 o'clock, and discussing these things with my unreasonable ex-girlfriend in an empty place was too dangerous. I took a step back without showing any emotion, crossing my arms over my chest. "How did you know I was here?" This was a defensive posture, but it only angered Emily more. She suddenly stepped forward, grabbed me by the arm, and dragged me into the small grove by the roadside. "Emily," my back was painfully scraped by the rough tree trunk. I glared at her with wide eyes, my heart racing. "Are you never going to stop? You started it." I didn't even finish speaking. Emily suddenly dropped to one knee and pulled out a small box from her pocket. The box opened, revealing a diamond ring weighing 6 carats. Under the small light inside the box, the diamond sparkled so brightly it was almost blinding. "Lucas, come back." Emily's voice was hoarse, as if she hadn't slept well in a long time. "As long as you come back, I'll accept any punishment you give me. Without you, I've been living like a ghost. My family forced me to marry Oliver, but I don't love him at all. Lucas, you're the one who passed the test, and you're the one who's been with me for 3 years. I love you." The night breeze rustled through the tree branches. As I listened to Emily's words, countless memories flashed through my mind. The bicycle on a summer night, a piano bench where we played a 4-hand piece awkwardly yet joyfully. Then came the huge lie, the indifferent expression on Emily's face when I gave so much. Cotton, who was unjustly dragged into this, and Oliver, whom she doesn't even like. After a moment, I stared at Emily and smiled faintly. "So you think marrying me is a punishment?" "That's not what I meant." Emily's face grew pale. "Lucas, I just want you to give me another chance. I don't want to lose you. Once bitten, twice shy." Emily provoked me like this. I pursed my lips and pointed to a barren piece of land, a budget of 100,000, 2 bedrooms and a living room. "Emily, if you can build the house, I'll give you another chance." Emily was serious when she said it, and she acted on it. In just 10 days, she had the house frame up. She kept a small notebook to track expenses. Every evening, she came to my house to report how much she had spent and the progress of the construction. Over time, the matchmakers in the village started gossiping about her. "What's wrong with girls these days? They have hands and feet, yet they don't work hard and just spend men's money. They think Emily is my second mistress, whom I support monthly." Emily's heart was pierced by their words, but she dared not argue back. After all, she had indeed done that before. Before she knew it, A month had passed. I need to take Cotton back to Chicago for a follow-up appointment. When Emily found out, she borrowed a car from the village chief to take me to the newly built high-speed rail station. "Lucas, I'll be waiting here for you to come back. I'll finish building the house and change all my bad habits." She was about to say more, but my phone rang. The caller was Olivia. As soon as Emily saw the name, her expression froze. But I didn't hide it. I answered it right in front of her. "Dr. Olivia, yes. I'm on my way." With each answer I gave, Emily's expression grew uglier. By the time I agreed to Olivia's request to pick me up at the high-speed rail station, Emily's lips had turned pale. But what does that have to do with me? When we were dating, she let Oliver hold her in his arms. Now you know how it feels. Serves you right. After hanging up, I turned to leave. Emily grabbed my luggage. "Lucas, you said that once the house is built, you'd give me a chance. That wasn't a lie, was it? If you doubt me, you can come back anytime. I'm not leaving." Emily had tanned a lot recently, but the hope in her eyes grew with the progress of the house. I didn't bother looking at her or trying to comfort her. After boarding the high-speed train, I sent a text message to the village chief. "I've signed the contract. You can arrange the land as you see fit." The village chief replied quickly. "Great news, Zaya Oshen. You're the only one left in the village who hasn't signed. I was worried you weren't going to sign, but since you sold the land to the government, what about the young woman who was going to build a house there? What will she do?" I tapped my fingers and replied, "It's none of my concern." The bulldozers arrived 10 days later. That day, I sat in the VIP lounge of the pet hospital, pretending to be the owner, and opened the camera I had left nearby before leaving. Emily was clinging to the house, which was already taking shape, refusing to move. She was screaming like a madwoman in front of the machine, which was 10 times her size, shouting, "I'm the only daughter of the Williams family. This is my house. No one is allowed to touch it." People around her were murmuring, "What Williams family? Isn't she the mistress of that young man from the Shen family?" "Right. She's always so stingy, even haggling over a bag of cement. What Williams family? She should be ashamed of herself." The bulldozer driver was hesitating at first, but upon hearing the villager's words, he immediately started the machine. "I don't care who you are. Get out of the way, or the roof will collapse and crush you. And I won't be responsible." The bulldozer took only 10 seconds to reduce Emily's life's work to rubble. Just like that day, Emily sat in luxury, not batting an eyelid as Liam and Oliver ordered so much alcohol. From start to finish, it took less than half a minute. Sand and dust swirled in the air. Emily, who had poured her heart and soul into this house, stood there in a daze, watching everything she had built crumble before her eyes. She finally realized that there was no future between us. She collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face, calling out my name over and over again. It was as if she was accusing me of playing with her. But my name is Lucas, destined to be this way for the rest of my life. Nitpicking over every detail, seeking only momentary satisfaction. Suddenly, a light footstep sounded behind me. It was Olivia, the workaholic who had finished early. She looked at me with a gentle expression, speaking in a soft and respectful tone. "Are you hungry? I heard there's a new restaurant that's pretty good. Want to go today?" "Sure," I replied lightly, turning to look at the blue sky and white clouds outside the window, and smiled sincerely. "New life, here I come."